Tonight, like every first Monday evening here in the US and Tuesday mornings in the Philippines, we are so fortunate to have our master training with our presidential consultant, Blue Elam. Again, a little introduction about our master. He is happily married to his beautiful wife, Raylene, Ray we call her, and blessed with 6 wonderful children. Blue started as a paramedic for the Tucson Fire Department, and upon seeing the ABC investigative report and learning the opportunities that LifeVantage offers, he jumped all in and built a very successful multi-million-dollar business. It is also through him, through Blue, that I learned the meaning of dig the well before you get thirsty, and the importance of surrounding yourself with opportunities to serve others. He has been part of building homes in Mexico for LifeVantage family, helping families for years. Their family actually has overcome a lot of challenges, and with that has been an inspiration to thousands. And of course, that includes me. So tonight, let's all welcome and give a 1 on our chat to our humble presidential consultant, Blue Elam. Good evening, Blue.
How are you, Beth? Thank you for filling in tonight. You're doing a great job. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for always giving us your time. I know you're so busy. So
it's nice nowadays to be busy, but sometimes it's a good busy. We've been on 3 vacations in a row because my family had a cruise, my wife's family had another trip, and then my brother was getting married, and so I think we were home like 4 days in the whole month last month.
wow.
But what's nice about having an international and a big business is even while we travel and go places, a lot of times we can meet up, we can still teach, we can train, we can mentor. A lot of times when we even just on the phones and communicating like this, it was kind of fun doing these calls though from the cruise boat or different places, and so it does allow a lifestyle of being where you need to be, but still being able to support those that are upcoming in the ranks and trying to get there. So I love what we do. It was a lot of work getting here, but I love what we do and what the company stands for. So I'm excited to talk to you guys tonight.
All right. So Blue, tonight, our training will be a different format. So it will be a question and answer, right? Because a lot of people, has a lot of questions in their mind. It's just that they're not able to ask, the right people, or sometimes they don't exactly know what to ask. So is it okay if I start with the first question?
Yeah, sure. And just keep in mind, I looked through these questions that you sent, and I appreciate you sending those because we do a lot of trainings. One group specifically, we teach, one of our trainings is we teach principles, and then the next training we answer questions, because we train the principles and people try them and they try to implement them and they become maybe better in the process, or they learn in the process that this part's easy for me, but this part I don't have. And someone else might say, I have this part figured out, but maybe a different part is harder. And so the questions seem to help us to narrow in and help. So you guys can always submit questions in tournament. We can try to answer some of those on these calls if you put them in the chat and things like that. But if we don't have time to get to them always on these calls, then you can get them to Kai or to Beth or someone, and we can make sure to add them onto each call as we go. Before we start, Beth, I had one item of business as a follow-up, because if you guys recall, those that were on the call last month, Eric was on the call with us from compliance, and we went through all the numbers and the strategy to help minimize and reduce and get rid of the online selling. I did reach out to him today because we wanted to report on this call each month, and they were running the numbers, but they won't have them to me until tomorrow. So I apologize. It is new for them to run those reports for us. So I reached out this morning to get those, and I know now that I need to reach out probably the weekend prior or the end of the week, the past week, in order to get those. So I will do better at getting those, but just know that that system is implemented. It's working. We showed some of the numbers last time. It is very good at finding and identifying the way people list those items for sale, and we can identify them, and then they're getting good at accumulating those and pulling down the ones that are doing that. And so we will see a difference. We have implemented this already in other countries, other areas, other places we've grown, and we've taken it from kind of a big mess down to manageable numbers. I don't know if you can ever get rid of it, but as if it's reduced down to something that's manageable and it's not a big sore spot for people, I think it's gonna be better. So I did want to report on that and let you know that plan on me, excuse me or Eric, bringing maybe the updated numbers for the next call, and so we can follow through on that. And I tried to, but they just weren't able to get the numbers because I think the guy that runs the numbers was a day behind. I'm not sure where they all live, but it's so international. It's sometimes tough to get with them while they're sleeping and so on. So I'm glad this works out because we're pretty different in time, but I can catch my evening and you can catch your morning and we can make this work. So awesome. But yeah, let's go through some of these questions. I read through them real quick. Some of them will bounce back and forth with each other.
Right.
If I answer one on accident down, we'll just talk through it and make it, I don't want it to be too formal, but I definitely want to have everyone comfortable to, raise their hand, ask questions if we need to, but let's get through some of these. So.
Right. So for those in the Philippines and even the ones here in the US, just reminding you what Blue said. He said that you can ask questions. You can put your questions in our chat so that if we have time later, he can answer them for you. Okay. So let me start. Blue. So for us in the US here, right, we have the new enhanced compensation plan, right? What's the effective action plan to grow our business and maximize our income? You have any tips on that?
Yeah, let me and honestly, the second question that you sent was about kind of preparing those in the Philippines for it as well. So I think this answer is kind of the same. And let me tell you why I kind of feel that way, because I believe even with our old plan, right? For example, when we switched to the plan, some businesses paid very much the same, right? They didn't necessarily go way up or way down. They built a certain way. And our business was one of those where it stayed very, very consistent. But we've worked at it a long time. We have a lot of personals sponsored. We have a lot of successful personals, and we have a lot of width in our business and depth. There's a balance between those two. So if you think about width and depth, right, you get a square box. If you end up with a lot of different groups, you end up with a square. The problem is, I think over time, if we aren't careful, then we lose some groups, and one or two groups will grow, and we end up with this line, or maybe we enroll some people, and it's more like a boomerang or a triangle, right? So we have one big leg and then a group of little legs on the top, but we end up with this image of something that's not full and solid. It's teetering on one group. And we have found that with the new compensation, when groups are built kind of one-legged, or they're relying a lot on volume from individuals in their team that they did not enroll, right? Every now and then, somebody will place someone below you, and that person will grow a big business, which is awesome for volume, and it's exciting, and we do a lot of work to support them. But the new and the old, I'll just say in this situation, rewards very well for those that you find and you place and you support, and rightfully so. I believe that is a very fair way to do it, because if you do the work and you have the contact and you find the person, support them, it pays you very well. If someone else has the contact and they place them with you or under you and you support them, you didn't have the contact to bring them in, but you still provide a very needed support group for that individual and their team. So it pays well for that, but it pays better if you enroll that person. So some of the concepts, new and old, aren't really different. And I want to make sure, maybe this is I don't want to simplify it too much and say there's no differences, blah, blah, blah. But I do want to help people realize that to build a business, we need to enroll people and support their teams and build a team, a box, a square, solid foundation. What I do know is that the new compensation structure does a better job supporting certain behaviors that weren't supported very well in the old plan, or the plan that some of you are using now in the Philippines. It still pays well. I mean, we retired using it. We built with the old plan. I'm a little bit biased to the old plan a little bit because we built it, we ran it, we retired with it. Our family was successful with it. When we got in our car accident, that plan saved our lives, literally, in some cases, paid bills, kept relationships strong, allowed me to spend time with my daughters when they were suffering in wheelchairs and needed somebody. So I don't have an issue with the old plan, but I know there was holes, there was issues, and especially as we've grown through time. 15 years ago, that plan was pretty good for the 15 years ago. But in the last 15 years, what has changed? I think I can simply put the way we watch videos and the way we communicate through short videos and the way we sell products online, the online ability to touch in the world and to sell is completely a different world than it was 15 years ago, right? It's just grown. So the new plan rewards more people that are good at those behaviors. And I can be honest with you, those are behaviors that I'm not great at. I didn't have to develop them because the old plan didn't really reward them. So I didn't go out and get on Facebook and learn how to do social media and sell product. I was more this style right here. Get a group of people, let's lock arms, let's huddle up, and let's make a plan. And let's go be mentors. Let's go be leaders. Let's go develop leadership within our teams. And that's what I focused on. And the new plan still rewards that behavior, but I would say it puts an emphasis or exaggerates, right? It really rewards highly the new style of bringing in customers, right? And so we have all learned to talk about customers a little different than we have in the past. It's not that our team has never enrolled customers. I think a big part of our check and the ability to retire and those things within the fire department came from customers, just not my personal customers. We taught that with our teams. Some individuals ran with that. We had some people that were great at it and they put 500 customers in, but their businesses weren't growing. They would just stall out because customers weren't duplicating and finding and replicating. And so they had to stop and come learn how to do this and develop leadership. I believe this new plan, we're going to have a lot of people that just get really good at finding customers and they make a lot of money. They're very successful and they may not have to go put the time and effort and the things that we did to fully develop leaders like we are. Now, others will keep developing leaders because that's what I feel like I need to do. And others will bring their customer base in and get paid better for it. And it's going to reward better for those two behaviors. So with that being said, I hope to tee up this idea that it's always been about finding customers, finding distributors, developing leadership, building width, building depth, right? So nothing has changed in that respect except who we reward for what behaviors. And I think we're going to get people's minds to shift a little bit towards the ability to find customers, be willing to find customers because there is a reward for doing it, a valid reason financially to go bring those people in. And when they say, I don't want the business, but I want to just be a customer, that's going to be fine. In the old days, I'll say, is we used to just show the entire plan and we had some people opt into being a customer. And that's how we found our customers. We didn't go really look for customers. We were always looking for business owners and partners. And if they opted into being a customer, great, we ended up with a customer. But now there's entire groups putting together customer acquisition plans because it's such a rich and there's a reward for doing so. I do caution some of those plans because I do believe, even though it pays very well for customers, there is still value, more value in my opinion, in duplication and developing a leader because when we ended up in the hospital, I watched leaders step up and do things like present and teach and mentor and train. Customers don't do that, right? Customers will keep using product, which is awesome. And that's what we need is consistent volume. But the growth in our business, right? The sustainability is based on customers and distributors using products as customers. The growth in our business relies upon leaders teaching and educating and mentoring and being willing to share that. So with a plan going forward, those in the US, I would simply say this kind of the simple, if you're setting goals, I would say there's a 3-in-1 plan. Let's just make it really simple. 3-in-1, 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 which isn't far-fetched or different than what we had, but the math works out really well for those. Let's say every single month, your goal was to put in one distributor, right? And 3 customers. That model, right, we'll end up with 12 and 36 by the end of the year. Right? Now, the old plan, when you stick 12 and 36 into the plan, it paid okay. With the new plan, you put 12 and 36 in that plan, there is a chunk of change for those, and they're going to get excited, and there's going to be more upfront for those because those 36 customers have a value that they didn't have in the past. Before you put in a customer, you had a big chunk up front, and then second month they would drop down to a couple of percent. And there was this hole in the compensation plan that we needed to fill. And the new plan fills that hole so that our income can slowly rise and raise. It doesn't go up, drop down, and we try to catch people before they leave, because that drop is pretty disheartening to a lot of people. And so we're excited for what we have now plan-wise, and I don't want to get into too many details because this is primarily, obviously, a Philippine leadership call where you guys are learning and can learn the comp plan, but it's not implemented for a while, right? What are we thinking? Third, fourth quarter of the year? Like, it's going to be a while, okay? But it doesn't change what we can do behavior-wise to prepare and structure our business correctly so that when that transition takes place, we don't feel it. We might even realize and get excited because it will go up. If we build correctly, it'll the excitement of going towards that new comp plan will help us to have a growth and a jump when we switch, instead of, oh no, I've been building to this other plan, right? Which some of us had to deal with because we built to the old plan for so long. If we just keep that in mind, in the US and the Philippines, doesn't matter, even with the old plan, a 3-in-1 system works. Set goals to find 3-in-1, 3-in-1, 3-in-1. If you will do the math, build that structure, build that square box, you're going to find when the transition takes place, you'll be prepared, you'll be ready, and it won't be scary. It'll be exciting that it's coming, as opposed to, oh no, I'm going to have this drop in my check, or I built a certain way. So I know it's very, very generic and very simple for this call, but I think that's how simple I want to keep it right now, is don't change a lot of behaviors. Don't get worried. And I got to change everything I'm doing, and I'm doing it all wrong. The new comp plan, I got to stop until I figure it out. Just be careful with any of those behaviors that slow you down. More so, do what you've been doing. Just run. But just know that when you find customers, it's going to reward you for that. And watch some of those thresholds, right? Because every now and then people get so close to a bonus and they need 1 or 2 more customers to jump into that bonus. Those numbers and those things are fun to watch for your teams and help them. Primarily those on this call that are in the US. Watch for those starting this month and next month. You'll help them to get there. There's going to be a value on the old mint. I'm going to use the pro ranks just so we can, since we're talking the Philippines, use those numbers. But the Pro 5, that $20,000 point rank, right, to get to that rank, is where you start to open up some leadership bonuses in the new plan. So getting yourself to Pro 5, right, that rank, before the transition will be very, very important, right? Very, very valuable. The second thing I'll say is developing Pro 4s. Now, it doesn't mean we stop developing Pro 3s. Right? Remember, we had a big push to help and be a Pro 3 factory, right? And bring Pro 3s and Pro 3s, and we talked on how to do that and what those numbers look like. Don't stop doing that, because to you can't get Pro 4s until they hit Pro 3 anyway. So develop a bunch of Pro 3s, and then we can maybe add a little bit of training to bump them over to Pro 4. But if you are setting out a Pro 5 and you have a team full of Pro 4s when the transition takes place, or right now in the US, that's what you're trying to build, there's a premium on those Pro 4s because you match. The matching is a lot different in this new compensation plan. So value in customers, get yourself to Pro 5, develop Pro 4s and the leadership that it takes for them to do the same, because those 4s are doing what? Trying to get to 5 to open up the comp plan. And when that comp plan piece opens, they want to make sure there's enough 4s developed so that matching can increase their check. So that simple behavior, I think, will work for both of those. There might be some other parts of that question that I can read through and touch on, but conceptually, that's what we're doing in the US and Philippines. Don't change what you're doing, but add the component of customers and add the component or the goal to get to 5 and develop Pro 4s, right? If you want to keep developing a Pro 3 factory, don't change. Just know that you'll be better rewarded when those 3s become 4s. I actually made a list of our team of how many people were at Pro 3, almost Pro 4, where we can match their check. And I'll be honest, this is the fun part. There was over 200 people in striking distance, this close to being a Pro 4. Can you imagine if 10% of those, if I went to help 10% just step over that line, they all become check matches, right? Or a percentage of it, right? Depending on where they are. But that is some of the things we can teach in the future to start looking for. Those in the US that are using the plan now might be a good plan. Get yourself to 5, find out how many Pro 3s you have that are close, and help them get to 4, and help them step into that position so that you can match those that are in your enrollment tree. So hope that helps a little mentally. It's exciting. We don't know the full effects of the plan yet. I got some super excited. I got a few nervous. We're dealing with so much stuff. Just know that if you guys will run for those few things, it won't be, it'll be a positive thing as it comes, as opposed to a scary, worried thing if we prepare and build correctly. So I'm glad you're asking those questions, because it's hard to ask those questions a month before we open, right? It's hard to change behaviors in a month, but if we have that runway and it's long, we can get a lot of things done and in place and get a lot of Pro 4s built. And obviously those names are different in the new plan, but for you guys in the Philippines, those still maintain, but that Pro 5 and Pro 4 rank. So hope that helps a little bit with the question on the new comp plan.
Yes, Blue, as I was actually just looking at our enhanced compensation plan, and I see that there's a difference of $20 and $10 in every customer that you will enroll. So that's about $720 addition to the 3 customers that you enroll every month, totaling $36 a year. So that's,
let me just give you a quick number, and this won't apply to everyone because this is US right now.
Right.
Just collagen, right? $112 your points for that, your CV. So you got 36 people, 112, you got $4,000. That opens up, that alone starts to open up your sales bonus, a 30% match. It's almost $1,200, right? And I'm using US dollars, obviously for these numbers, because that's what we're using now. But just think, if you guys built that behavior and had those in place, and that's with collagen, with 36 people, with just some basic things, you're sitting at enough to qualify for additional bonuses. And $1,200, that's going to keep someone in the business a long time, right? When you only spend $150 or $200 on some products for your family, but you make $1,200, or that also, there's some other things that opens up as you hit those ranks. But just at that number, $1,000, people don't say I'm leaving when they spend $200 and make $1,000.
Exactly.
That pays bills. That's consistent. That's leveraged income, right? Not residual income. It's not what's left over. The word residual is kind of weird to me, but that's leverage. That's something that comes in and comes in and comes in. That's just the 36 customers. We're not talking about the 12 actual distributors in that sense, right?
Right.
Those that went out to develop their teams and grow their businesses, what did that turn into? What if only one person out of those 12 did what you did and puts 36 of their own in there? Remember that's they're next to them in the new plan, so that those 36 customers will count towards their volume, which is on your level one, and you can start doing the math as to what that'll be. What if you plus three, me plus three, right? That's kind of what we're teaching around. Me plus three, 3 and 1 for a year, every month for a year, get that 12 and 36. And then what if 3 people follow what you're doing? What if 3 other distributors do what you're doing, right? You're going to end up, anyways, the numbers get fun. If I throw too many numbers out, I don't want the Philippine group to be like, oh man, I got to remember all these new numbers. I don't want to confuse you. I just know that the behaviors we're talking about work. And when you put those numbers in the old comp plan, they're still good. You put those numbers in the new comp plan and it goes up. If you don't have that customer base and you put your numbers in the new comp plan, it might go down because the customer base is so strong in the new comp plan. So just don't leave them behind in the process between now and the time that we open in the Philippines. So
yeah, I think it's less pressure to get distributors now for some people, because
yeah,
before it's like, we want, the pressure is getting that distributor.
that's because that was the premium, right? That's where the
Yeah,
money was paid. That's where I will still say, I don't want people to take all the pressure off, because the
right.
leveraged growth of your business will rely on those distributors. And I'm afraid some people will take so much pressure off. They'll think that they're going to build a dynasty with just customers. Some might be able to, but most are going to need some really good distributors trained and ready to duplicate with them and replicate themselves so that they can end up with the real big numbers that it takes to actually build maybe a legacy or something to pass down to your kids and those kind of things. So it does take the pressure off, but let's make sure to keep implementing the teaching behind it. So that's why it's 3 and 1. We don't just do 3, 3, 3. Let's keep that 1 in there. But imagine
Right.
if you did 3 and 3, right? You want to do the math on 3 and 3? I would tell you that
Oh my
those
God.
3 do, growing their businesses will be more valuable than just doing the 36 on your personal effort. You're going to want the effort, right? Small
Right.
little percentage on that many people's effort is where the numbers get really, really crazy. And in our business right now, there's most of the time we hit Pro 10 by the 15th of the month. So right, just a couple subscriptions and we're already Pro 10s, and then the rest of the month is just like security and it's a buffer, and it feels so good to not the last day barely make it, right? It feels so good to have this organization where, and we did that not because we just personally knew a lot of customers. It's because we developed the Kai Hayeses of the world, right? We developed you guys and Greg. And when you help develop leaders who will travel to spend a month with and educate and teach and train and mentor and fly home, that's what you don't get with customers. So I don't want to minimize customers, but I also don't want to ever take away the value of true leadership and true replication through teaching those. So don't stop doing that. Don't change all that. Just add value to customers as well.
Exactly. So, Blue, now we all know you're an upline to so many, right? Downlines around the globe. What is your most basic and important responsibility? Under that, we should say, are you expected to provide prospects or sign up people under them? Or are you expected to do presentations and trainings in their absence? Are you expected to give financial assistance and support? So, because,
I love this question. I teach a lot about this because I really feel this is where my skill set, I don't know, maybe, there's some things I couldn't figure out very well. Like I've never been on Facebook in my life, right? But there's other things I have figured out. And so I'm glad you're asking me those questions, because if it was something about maybe social media, I would just have to tell jokes or something, and we'll talk about something else. But we'll defer it to someone else on the call who's really good at that, because that's what it is, right? We all bring something special. A team is just that. It's a group of people that all have different strengths. And so the word expectation, I want to shy away from. And I'll say anytime it says, are you expected to? I'll just say no. I don't even care what it is after that. In this industry, the reason I love it is I own a business. Beth, you own the same business. You own a business, but we're equals. There's no difference in the rules, right? There's no difference in the policies and procedures. The compensation's the same for both of us. It's just how long have I been in, or how much effort did we put in, or how much replication did we get, or how many customers. I mean, there's some things that we could say that time helps, and time heals or helps develop, but we're equals, right? So the word expectation gets really so like a sore spot for me, because there's no expectation that it's your business. You can run it however you want. Now, recommendations, tons. Things that work, things that don't work, mentorship in a certain area. Man, we'll open some doors up here, and we'll talk, because my role first in my business, as is the rank that I'm at, and I'm going to say this real careful, because I hope you guys don't ever repeat this in the wrong way, because if without the background, it won't make sense, or people like, because I believe tonight, right now, if my neighbor needed me to go talk to him about the business, it would be better for me to spend an hour on this call with all of you mentoring instead of enrolling my neighbor. Now, it doesn't mean we don't teach to enroll, but at our level, there's more value in getting on a call and doing and helping all of you guys. Because what happens to the hour with all of you guys, right? Can you imagine this hour being turned into a month of motivation, or a training that goes to your team, or maybe we touch 20 more people tomorrow, and more and more. So the value in our as an upline sometimes is that maybe your group needs help doing a presentation. Maybe Kai comes out, right? Kai and Greg come out and help and support and present and do the upline, not expectations or responsibility, but it's they have that skill set, right? If we were playing football, and this analogy works I played football growing up, and I was the quarterback. If all of us on the team were quarterbacks, we wouldn't score any points. If everyone could throw the ball, but we didn't have anyone to block those big guys on defense, we didn't have anyone to run a pattern and catch the pass, if we didn't have anyone to do the other parts of the game, we wouldn't score points as a team, even if we were all amazing quarterbacks. We need someone to throw. We need someone to block. We need someone to catch. We need some. So, for example, let's say Kai's coming to town, corporate office, going to do a meeting, and you guys invite to someone who is very good at presenting. It's a skill set that the team needs to work together. Now, if Kai's not there, you can't sit there and wait, right? Wait and say, I'm going to not be successful because I don't have a quarterback. You need to become that person. It's your business. We have the same rank. Now, you guys are very, very lucky that you don't have that. Some teams that I get on and talk to, they don't have anybody. They were signed up, and maybe that person left or changed their mind, or something happened and they're by themselves. You guys have almost more support probably than you might want sometimes, right? You guys have people that love you, that will try to help you, that will fly and spend money and travel and come out to you. I would say to respect and honor that more so than ever having an expectation of who's been put on my team. I need money for whatever reason. Just because people have worked hard and have a little money, it doesn't mean they have the ability to dump all of that back in their teams, right? Some of that is now paying back stuff in time and stuff that they spent for a long time. Now, I've been asked a few times, and I'm going to say this very carefully. There's been in 15 years, there's probably been a handful of individuals that I have supported in some way, or maybe helped with a pack. On, one of them was a family member, right? But very, very, very selective. Very, very because most people are with anybody with a handout usually ends up with another handout and another handout, and developing the character to build this organization and build your own business usually starts when those hands stop, right? When that handout goes down and we take ownership, that's usually when our businesses become something of value. So have I covered a meal here or there? There's times I'll do something special, a little promotion, or I'll help somebody's team. There was one time I stayed in Australia and kind of a funny story, but I was staying and I was in. They said you could stay with us for the night, and I said sure, that'll be fun. And I realized that the bed they gave me, they said come on, you can stay in my boys' room, but they had bunk beds, and so I ended up on the bottom bunk, and their boy was on the top bunk. And in the middle of the night, the boy throws a pillow and hits me. And I remember picking up a pillow and I throwed it back at him. And next thing I realized we're in a massive pillow fight at like midnight. And his parents wakes up and they come in and it's like, what are you guys doing? And then they start throwing pillows. And I'm like, we become family, right? And friends. And so there's things in that circle that happen where we'll help, we'll share. We get to know people really well. I've done little special things for people, but man, be very careful because as soon as there's an expectation to pay for this, the meal's on you. You may push some very valuable upline away because they just aren't in a position to be able to do that. Now, the expectation of people, think of it as a huge gift. If somebody ever enrolls a friend of theirs and places them under you and your team, there's a reason there. There's a connection. Maybe it's because you're the quarterback and they're putting a blocker underneath you, right? Or you're good at doing presentations and this person has a lot of contacts. And so they're entrusting that you'll support and help them, not as an expectation that you need to put someone on my team, more so as if you do, I'll take care of them and thank you for, it's an honor that you would put a friend of yours on my team. So I hope that's my vision. That's Blue's vision of how that should work, because especially in the new plan, you guys, it rewards that width, right? If you stack and you put somebody and you put somebody and you put somebody, what are you building? You're starting to do this with your group and you build the boomerang or the triangle that doesn't pay well in this industry. Okay. So I would teach you to not build that way. Keep those personals in width as best you can and build those. Now, every now and then I'll get a group like my firefighter buddies. If I enroll 2 people that work together, they're at the same station and I enroll both of them, I might put them on the same team, or 2 family members. Every now and then it's smart to do that. Otherwise they're racing to divide people and it becomes this weird competition that's detrimental, not beneficial. The only other time I'll say that is if you have a quarterback, like I said, someone that can present, someone that can has a big database, you put them together. Sometimes there's some benefits there. Maybe it's where they live. If I enroll 2 people in the Philippines right now, since I live here, I would probably find somebody like one of you to put them in their group and maybe put them together. Not because you expect it, just because it would be better for them if that took place. And we already have the width that we need, so we would be supporting that behavior. So that might be, I know it's a lot of answers in one, but there was a lot of questions, right? Should we support them financially? Be careful. Should we, are we expected to put people in their group? Absolutely not. Are we expected to present for them? Not expected, but man, if that's your forte, that might be your piece for your team, right? They bring them and you teach them. There might be some benefits in that, but I would never use the word expect and make sure that we're careful with some of those thought processes, right? Does that make sense, Beth, or did I miss something?
Oh, yes. Yeah. It's just a reminder that we should take ownership of our business. You know, whatever support we get from our mentors or our uplines, I think we should always be grateful for that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, just think of this, you guys. At some point, you're a really good downline. You're brand new. You're not an upline yet because you're brand new, right? But guess what happens eventually? You enroll somebody, now you're the upline, right? Maybe think about the expectations that you have for your upline. Would you want those expectations to be placed on everyone in your group? And you're a pro 5 and you're making a few $100s and your team expects you to buy a $500 dinner, right? Or expects you to place someone on their team and you're having a hard time getting your third leg started. and they're mad at you because you're not putting people in their group and building their business, man, just be careful, because those behaviors duplicate as well. If you're very good at just loving and supporting, I think you'll find that our team seems to be that way, because from the top down, we've taught that from day one. There's been a couple teams that have started what I would say really bad behaviors, and then their entire team has the bad behaviors, and we've lost entire teams and countries, I'll just say carefully, because of behaviors that haven't been correct. Well, one question I just looked down that I think you asked that I didn't touch on was, are we expected to do presentations and training in their absence? I'm going to say that real careful, because I experienced something very positive with this. We woke up in the hospital, right? I'm going to make this story real simple because it's a big story and it's very emotional if I tell the whole thing. But I woke up in the hospital. My two daughters are paralyzed. My wife wasn't supposed to walk. She's going to lose her leg. I had a bunch of broken bones. My face was swollen. They just had done rebuilding my entire orbital socket. The bone under my eye was replaced with a piece of sugar plate. And we're talking just dramatic changes. I got some phone calls from my team. Hey, what meetings did you have this week? Can I please help you with those? Can I fill in? I'd be honored if I could do the meeting that you had in Phoenix. I would be honored if I could travel to the meeting that you had in Texas and do the meeting for you. I live in Florida. Can I please take that meeting off your schedule, because I know you need to be with your family right now. I didn't expect any of those. That's why I don't like the word expectation. But I loved the family feeling that I was trying to explain before with the bed thing. That family concept of my brother is hurt and I'm going to fill in. I was amazed. It was emotional. It was one of the most healing things that we went through, was to watch our team rally, support, and cover meetings in our absence. Now, and I know I'm taking in our absence with a very obvious absence, right? Sometimes that absence might mean something a little different to the question, or when somebody leaves town, who steps up to do the meetings. There's a process of developing leaders that needs it. We come to town, we usually work really hard, teach and educate and support, and then we leave. And we watch who steps up to do that, because we have to identify leadership, and sometimes we use those methods to identify who's willing to work. But if you stay humble and teach to work hard, do your part, there's a time, if you ever need it, that your team, me, will be there in your absence to fill in, not because you expect it, but because it's what we do. It's family. We all benefit when your business grows as an upline. So absolutely, we want to be there for you, but it's not an expectation. So there was one, I think that was the last one on that list. So.
Yep. So actually, that's what I like with LifeVantage. We've developed great friendships that turns into, like, we're a big family here. Can you imagine? I'm with you, interviewing you.
I had a picture of the hospital waiting room, because they wouldn't allow anyone back to see us. They thought some of us. I mean, I was unconscious for over 5 minutes, and there was a lot of things happened where they thought we were gone or we might die. My girls, there were surgeries going on. I mean, so many things. But I have a photo of the waiting room of all the people waiting to go see our family or support our family. About 80% of that, and this is my hometown, right? Over 80% of them were LifeVantage family. Not that my other family wasn't coming or wasn't there. A lot of them were firefighters, and they snuck back into the back to help us. Right? So they were there. But the photo revealed something very special, is that family wasn't just there because of money or support or an expectation that you have to be there. These were some of our upline and crossline and friends and family that we have developed through the business. And they were there because our family had a need, right? They brought us meals. They cleaned some of our house. They drove. We were on medicine, so we couldn't drive, and they drove us to appointments. I had LifeVantage family step in for those things, and it made a tough time a lot easier. Not, it's still tough, but it took away the parts that people could take away in that situation. So
Yeah, with that, Blue, I remember that yeah, I'm getting emotional just listening to you. So I know you kept a list of tender mercies or small blessings, miracles, right?
we did. There's days that get hard, and I look back and we wrote every time something was amazing or there was a reason or the accident caused a chain reaction of events that ended up positive, even at the expense of our pain and suffering. But there was something so amazing that came of that I wrote those things down, because when we're having a hard day, sometimes it's good to look back on those things and say, man, remember that might be the reason. And building your business, and I learned that before the accident in the business, because we have story after story after story. We ran out of gas on the freeway, and I had the whiteboard that I did my meeting on. I used my whiteboards to say out of gas on the sign to to hold up to get help from somebody. There's times I had to wait for my paycheck to come in. I remember sitting at a gas station calling my wife saying, hey, did the check come yet? Because I needed to have her deposit it to swipe my card to get to the next meeting. Things were tough. Things weren't always where they are right now. And those tender mercies is what I call them. You can call them whatever, but they're memories of the positive pieces of building. And some people wait to be happy till they get to the end. When I get to the Pro 10 and presidential, I'll be happy then, right? I'll have enough to travel. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy these calls. Enjoy the little things in life. And that's when you'll have a good time, is when you learn to have a good time in the process of becoming, not just waiting till we become. But I'm glad you remembered that, Beth. I don't know where I shared that, but I'm sure it's come up, because there's days that get tough and I see my girls wheeling the house.
I know.
Or they having a bad day, or they have to go to the hospital because of another problem that's a result from that. And man, my heart sinks when I see my girls hurt. If it was just me, I think I could take it better. But when I see my wife hurting and my girls, but man, that reading about those positive things just says, man, maybe as a family we go through all this so someone else believes, or someone else can push through, or someone else can overcome. So I think my daughter's actually in the process of putting a book together, and I hope it comes in a way that will bless lives and things like that. But because there's a lot. Just this last week, we had my daughters, one of them back in the hospital for another surgery. Things people just don't know, but it's a daily thing. So thank you for remembering. I do.
Yep.
I do
Yeah.
appreciate that's the family piece of this, right?
Yep. I haven't
We just
even
love
met
and
you
help each other.
personally. Yep. I haven't even met you personally, but when we heard the news, we were all praying for you guys. It's like we know you already.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of LifeVantage, actually. That's what I loved about it. So one more question, Blue. So why do you think it's important to be willing to travel in growing your business? I remember your stories, like you were pushing your car somewhere else, you were hiding your car because, maybe you can share those stories to everyone.
Yeah. The guy that was hiding his car wasn't me, but he was hiding his car because he wasn't making his payments and they were going to come get it. So he was hiding his car. As the other hand, I had a car that only cost $50, so I didn't have any payments. But the car was so beat up and old, and it didn't have a muffler, and the sunroof, where the usually has glass, was open. So when it rained, it would just rain in my car. And I remember driving home one day with my whiteboard on top of my head, and I'm driving home with my whiteboard because it was stopping the rain. One day I went to the store and I paid like $30, and I bought a piece of plastic plexiglass, and I put it up there and I siliconed it all in really nice. The very next day I shut the door and I left my keys in the car, and so I had to take off the plastic to go into my car, and then it was just, it is what it is. I think it was meant to be open. But be willing to travel. So here's the thing. I like the word willing because the answer is, yeah, man, if I can answer that, it would be yes. Please be willing to travel. But too many people say, oh, Philippines is opening, so I gotta travel there. But if you don't know people there, or it's going to be, it's hard enough to talk to your neighbor on the same street you live on. It's going to be really hard to show up in a new country or a new city and just hope to find that, gem or and grow a business. Like it's not the type of travel. I want to be clear on the type of travel. Maybe I'll put it that way. As we grew our business, we sponsored somebody in Phoenix, only 2 hours from my house. And I drove to Phoenix, 2 hours away, train them, educate them, mentor them. They went to Texas to a friend of theirs. And then I started going to Texas to support their downline and support them. They would go, then I would go, and they would go, and I would go, because they weren't making enough to travel all the time. But between them and me, we can develop a relationship. Now they had 2 leaders or upline to support them. That person found someone else in Texas. That person found someone in Australia. Now, no one yet had enough money to travel that consistently to Australia. I agreed to help. Number one, that was an area of my business that I needed to build. But number two, I learned to follow the fire, right? Follow the excitement. Follow the ones that are just, come see me. Here's the excitement. Here's what's going on. I'm on this call because you guys are a fire in my business. And if you look at our whole business, it's not the bonfire, but it's started and it's running, and you guys are calling out and asking for help. So therefore we're doing the best we can to do it. Now, can we jump on and just show up? No, but Kai did, right? And Greg, and we have the process of taking turns and some of those things. There's some strategy maybe to that, but being willing to support where the fire is, if that means travel. You guys have probably the best example of that right now. Kai's on a plane coming home and after just pouring out finances and time and energy and love and support and mentorship, giving you the things she learned the hard way in some cases, giving you the skill sets that she has, just those, that's what we need to do. Now, Zoom makes it possible to do some of that without travel, but I would never permanently replace Zoom with travel. Now, we can touch monthly on this call, and I think that's better than nothing, but handshakes, hugs, face-to-face relationships being built. I can see your face on here a little bit, but I can't give you a hug. And it's hard to develop the type of relationship that I believe keeps us together forever, the 10, 15, 20-year stories we hear, just by being a number on a Zoom or a name with some of these that maybe are in a place they can't even turn their phone on because of location or the cameras or whatever. And so we end up with just somebody's here, we know them, but we don't develop that relationship. But traveling allows that to happen. So simple answer is yes, be willing to. Smart answer, be smart about when you go and how you go. There was times I messed up. I had somebody that wanted a meeting, and I got in a car, go to the airport, bought a plane ticket, bought a rental car, bought a hotel. I showed up, and the one person that they invited to the meeting didn't show up. So you go back to the hotel, drop off the rental car, or from the hotel to the rental car, drop it off, fly home, and you spend $1,200, $1,500, $2,000 on one person that didn't show. Now, the success of that is sometimes that one person shows, and it's an amazing story, right? So I'm not saying not to do that, but I am saying that maybe that could have been a phone call. Maybe that could have been a Zoom, but eventually you get 5 people. If all 5 people in that city are inviting 20 people each, you have 100 invitations. Show up for that. Show up, be there. 5 may show, you'll find your story. But be careful just traveling just to travel, right? Do what you can to pre-qualify the individual, the leader, the city, the country. Essentially, that's what we started with you guys, but you guys are beyond qualified, and I think that you guys have had the support because of that. So hope that helps.
Yeah.
And because that's the way I believe is being willing to, and but it's expensive to travel. And for a while there, traveling was the way we built our business. We didn't use Zoom. I was so stuck on hugs and handshakes that when COVID hit and we couldn't travel, man, I had to learn stuff fast because I wasn't great at communicating like this or doing trainings, or I had to buy a light right here because I was always in the dark in my videos or in my truck trying to make a call because I was used to traveling. And then they said, you can't travel. I need to go here. You can't go. It's closed and you're not allowed to. You have to stay home and coordinate. And man, I had to learn some other things. And so I do believe both. Let's learn both. Let's master both. But do not stop the hugs and handshakes, or you will lose something in your business that you cannot replace with just time on the Zoom. It has to be time and effort building relationships, because when there's a leader backed by a leader backed by a leader and they're all connected, that's where the longevity of a group and legacy can be built in LifeVantage. So
Wow, Blue. Tonight we come out more inspired, more focused, and more committed. We are actually so grateful for your sacrifice and your time. But before we go, we have a lot of Filipinos here. I'd just like to ask you again, please remind them, why did you say yes to LifeVantage? What is it that you saw, and why are you still so committed to it? Come on.
I have a little bit of a unique part of that story, and it's long. I'm gonna give you the 2-minute version, okay? Because I went looking for a company. I had been involved in this industry just enough to recognize that there was something amazing about finding somebody, developing somebody, teaching them, mentoring them, helping them become a leader, and then let them run. And anything that they gathered as they ran benefited my family. Very, very different. I helped a lot of people become a firefighter. I would help them do interviews. I would train them. We would work out together. But they would get on the job and they would run and make money for their family, but nothing ever came back to support me. Every now and then, we end up on the same fire scene, and sometimes their skill set might be there to help save me or help me in a big picture, but very, very seldom were all of those efforts in supporting people ever come back around to help my family. This industry allowed me to love on somebody, help them, support them, educate them, and all it did was support my family more and more as I did that. Very, very different. So first I had to learn that the industry was okay. The industry was amazing. Then I went looking in the industry for something like LifeVantage. I didn't know what it was, but I had a checklist. I needed a company. I needed good timing. I needed trends. I needed products that were amazing. And as a medic, I was very picky about products because I can read the studies and get through the garbage and the side effects and the contraindication. I mean, being someone who pushes drugs and helps somebody with medications, get rid of pain. And a lot of them were Band-Aids. A lot of things I gave were just to give them 5 more minutes to get to the hospital and hopefully fix or find the real problem. This industry allowed some bigger things like that. And so once I had that checklist, Beth, and I went down the checklist with one company and they were missing too much, walked away, went to products, no good products, timing, terrible timing, compensation. The compensation is not going to support me. I went down over and over and over. And then one day I met with an individual, and actually Eric was one of those people, by the way, who was on the call the other day. He was one of the only people in our corporate office who's still there from day one. Him and there's one other person who's been there from day one. Everyone else has either turned and grown, and corporate America kind of does that. But Eric's been there. And I got to see this company, and it checked off every one of my items. And so I didn't know what that meant, except that I found what I was looking for. So we put effort in the right place. We did build to the old comp plan the best we could. That comp plan developed more leadership behaviors than finding customer behaviors for me. But I learned it, we figured it out, and it hit ranks right before a tragedy in my family. And so we were lucky that we had confidence in it. But I have since then been shown a lot of things. When you make a little bit of money, people say, hey, let me show you something. Let me get your opinion on this. And I've looked and looked and looked and looked, and it is hard to find anything in or out of this industry that does consistently pay for a big organization that has grown organically like you guys are growing it. So build it right, build it once. You're going to have something that will be an amazing legacy to leave to your kids, and you'll appreciate it. But just realize you have something special in this industry. You can take my word for it. Even if you went out and looked, you'll find other things, but you'll come right back and realize people don't have the products we have. They don't have the comp plan we have, especially with our new compensation being more modern. I'll put it that way. We're in a really good place. And so thank you for asking. But I love remembering some of these things and what got us here. But man, it has supported us through some tough times. And I want everyone. I just want to grab everyone and say, you got to build, because you just don't know. You don't know if or when or what's going to happen around the corner. And I don't know a better way than right now to, when things are good, build this. Don't wait for things to get bad and then build. Don't wait to run out of money and then start to look here. Build right now while things are okay. Not great, maybe, but they're okay. Like you're okay. Let's go build while we can and turn this into a legacy for your kids. So I'll close with this, Beth, is I tell everyone, if you build correctly, your great grandkids will be thanking you, right?
Wow.
They'll be the ones saying, you know what, my great grandpa or grandma did something very unique, and it's blessed our family for years. That's my goal, is to be able to pass that down and let that be our legacy, right?
Wow, did you all hear that? That's what Blue is all about. I mean, most people will just talk about money and all that, but I know how humble you are, Blue, and I'm very thankful for this time. Thank you for your sacrifice. I know you spent this hour with us. We can still, learn from you for another hour. There's so much to learn from you. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, I was doing some yard work with my kids, and so this has been the best hour of my day. Not a sacrifice. It has been a reward to see your faces, and I would challenge you, even in the future, you guys, to get in a position where you can open up your cameras and we can talk and smile and shake virtual hands and hugs and just get to know each other, because these are trainings, but they're time to tell stories. Share frustrations if you need to. Let us get through it, but let's keep running in the right direction. And this is just kind of in football, this is the huddle, right? We huddle up, we put our hands in, on two, ready, break, right? And boom, and then we go do our job. We go do our piece of this puzzle. We go do our part. We block, we run, we throw passes, we do our job for our families, and come back together in a month, and we'll regroup and we'll say, man, this is hurting. This guy's big. Hey, can you help me with number 5? That guy's big. Right? Let's move him out of the way. Let's work together as a team to get through the hurdles, through the roadblocks, and prepare and have a game plan for what's coming. So, Beth, thank you for taking over tonight.
Thank you.
I know a lot of you could and would be willing to. Beth, thank you for doing that. I feel so comfortable talking to you guys and opening up, and we got lots more. There's lots more training and things to share in the future. And I really believe as we add people to this group, make it specific to rank and talk about it. Man, you guys got to hit this rank to get on this call. You can inspire people and use little things like this, as big or little as they are, maybe as more value than sometimes a compensation plan. I don't know why, you guys. There's times that we would say, if you do this, this, and this, you get a T-shirt, right? And people would say, oh man, I'm going to go do that. And they would work like crazy for a $20 T-shirt. And we trick them, because what they really did is develop a $200 income every month in the process of getting the shirt. But sometimes if you can get people to push to be on a call like this, we might actually help them in a bigger way on the back end because of the compensation and some of the other things, than just this. But I hope they can get here and feel part of the team and not want to leave, right? Be here and be part of it. Just be family with us. Be part of our LifeVantage family. So I just wanted to thank you, Beth, for doing that. Greg, I know you're on as well. Tell Kai thank you for traveling and taking her time. And you guys are great inspiration and support to your teams. And you guys are watching a role model as to what to do. When your teams get the same size and big, you're going to be traveling, and maybe who knows what country's next. And, you guys might say, hey, I just got back from this other country and I'm doing a Zoom every month with them. And hey, Blue, can you get on and support my Zoom real quick with these 30 people in this other country? And this is going to be fun. So
yeah, I can't wait for that.
Appreciate you guys. I don't want to take all your time. I know it's early. Go get some of you at work and different things. And just know that we're thinking about you. We are working hard internally in the corporate offices to support and pull down the things that aren't working. And we think a lot about you guys. And we'll get out there soon. I love it. There's so many things. I want to get out there when Kai's there. I think there's some value to that, but I also think there's some value in keeping different people just coming and supporting and helping as well. So hopefully this will do until we can work that rotation out. But